last was Banfield. He's having that sort of day. You wouldn't read about it.
Logan McDonald snapping and scoring. Huge.
It's been a winter classic in St. Collingwood win. They're inside the top 8.
Hello, I'm Damian Barrett. Welcome to Access All Areas, thanks to Crypto.com. Big statements were made in round 12. Geelong, Sydney, Fremantle, major winners, problems at Melbourne. Matthew Lloyd, as always, is with me. Lordo, where do you want to start? What did you like most out of round 12?
Well, I did enjoy Friday night. Geelong, very impressive against the Western Bulldogs. And then, obviously, Sydney, I love the build, the experience at the top with guys like Parker leading the way, but then the kids coming through are outstanding. But I think Fremantle topped it yesterday. What they've done in the last fortnight, they've beaten first on the ladder in Melbourne, and then to back it up and beat Brisbane Lions second. And it's the way they're doing it, Damo. That's the most impressive win, and the way they're going has just been one of the highlights. Probably the biggest surprise and highlight of the season for me.
This is now very real.
It is.
This possibility of a Fremantle premiership in 2022.
I'm with you, and that's what I'm saying was the highlight, because I agree, it's real, and I think that they now believe that they can, and to take down top first and second after your coach said we got ahead of ourselves, and they had a couple of tough losses. I think they learnt from that. And they've been too good, just far too good for the two teams. It's been tight, they've been down in periods, and they've just found a way to win. No one can go with them for 4 quarters.
You look at their team on paper some weeks, and maybe even particularly going into this game against the Lions, and you look at the forward line and you think, how are they going to kick enough goals, particularly against a good team like that, and yet they find a way. Banfield yesterday, Frederick.
Yeah, they go under the radar. We just want to show you the work rate of the forwards of the Fremantle Dockers. So here's David Mundy. So the ball goes to Schultz, but look where Frederick is. He's with Brandon Starcevich up high. His work rate, he just blows him away. Look, they're down by 7 points at this point, but from this point on, they just outwork them. Bailey Banfield, he may be, the 22nd player picked at the moment, but they are fighting, scrapping. There's such good depth, fighting for spots. That's what good teams do. He kicks 4 goals and made Archie look silly there for a period of time. So with Nathan Fyfe to come back, Damo, they're in a wonderful position.
And Rory Lobb is also having his career best season, I would have thought. Let's get on to the Fyfe topic. It's an amazing storyline, this. They've done what they've done without him to this point. Got through the waffle game for Peel Thunder on the weekend. Did what he had to do. Surely he comes back this week against Hawthorn? Yeah,
it's a strange thing to say when he's a Brownlow medalist, but you don't want to upset the midfield. You can't take out Will Brodie, who's been one of the stories of the season. Brayshaw would be in the best 5 players in the comp. Sarong is an absolute star. Obviously, Darcy's doing his thing. David Mundy does his. So I wouldn't upset the midfield. So it'll be a forward that needs to make way. I think for Nathan Fyfe, he'll play a little part-time midfield. But I think playing half forward or deep forward is his role, I think, at least for the next month.
It's extraordinary that they've done this without him to this point. On the flip side, Lordo, the Lions, for the 3rd week in a row now, that they conceded big points. And the average scores they've conceded now over those 3 weeks, and Hawthorn was a loss amongst that, GWS last week, and obviously the Dockers yesterday, 104 points they're conceding. Is that a worry for you as they head forward for the second half of the season?
I think their win-loss record looks fantastic, but to me, you said the Dockers feels real. To me, Brisbane have got a fair way to go. I don't think they're playing anywhere near as well as they need to be if they're to win a flag this year.
For the second Sunday at the MCG in a row, Collingwood put on a thriller. Beat Carlton last week, did the same against Hawthorn. Again, margin same as last week, 4 points. It was a frantic last quarter. Chad Wingard looked like he'd missed 6 weeks there, Lordo, and then 3 seconds later he's kicking a goal. Both teams stood up.
It was a great game of footy, and I think that for Collingwood, if they're to play finals, you don't want to be losing a game to Hawthorn, and they'll brave. Look at the scoreboard, so they're under pressure here. So should have won this Hawthorn at this point in time. So Wingard misses this one. Connor McDonald probably should have given this handball off to the player coming through on the left-hand side. Missed another one. So they had all the momentum. This was huge from Jordan to go.
Massive kick, this. Wet ball, 55 out and clearing the pack easily.
10 points down at that stage. Gets it back to 4. We want to highlight this.
Love this, Lordo. He missed and he's had yips issues before. One, within a minute later, got the ball in the same spot. And then did this.
I've been there before. Players shy away when they've missed it. He didn't shy away from anything. He wanted the ball in his hands, went back, learnt, absolutely nailed it. And then the joy on the final siren. This was an exhausting game. It was a tough game. And 7-5 now, and they're in a wonderful spot.
They are. And Ollie Henry's part of this Collingwood story is becoming increasingly more important week by week. Let's take a look. I mean, different makeup, different personnel at all aspects of the footy club. This is how this stage looked last year. It's how it looks now, Lordo. When you look at that, it's dramatic already what's happened. Will they make finals?
I think they will, because you look at this run home, I think they need to win 5 games, and I think they can get there. I know it's a tough finish with Melbourne, Sydney and Carlton, but I think they beat the Giants, the MCG, they beat North Melbourne, they beat the Crows, they beat the Bombers, they beat Port Adelaide. I know it's easy, but I think they've got 5 wins definitely in them, potentially 6 to play finals this year. And I thought they'd be a bottom 6 side this year. So it's just been a brilliant season. They need to make a change. With Nathan Buckley, it wasn't a great brand of footy last year, and Craig McRae's done amazing things in such a short period of time.
Hawthorn supporters may consider themselves unlucky. That's what supporters do, Lordo. They did, though, the Hawks, it must be said, get a goal that probably shouldn't have, in fact, should not have been paid. Yeah. This was paid away from the officiating umpire as a slide from Darcy Moore onto Butler. Yeah. It's a mind-boggling call, isn't it?
It is, and I think obviously players make a lot of mistakes, but I hope the AFL come out and say this was a mistake, because often decisions are justified, which could make it more frustrating. Umpires make mistakes just like players, and that was a bad one yesterday.
Yeah. What did you make of the Jack Ginnivan situation yesterday? For someone who's now played 15 games of football, he can attract some attention, Lordo. Opposition supporters, opposition coaches, certainly opposition teams target him. Now, this free kick early in the game was paid. Now, his knees conveniently buckle. It's what good forwards do. And look, I think it's a line ball call, but you couldn't have a major problem with that. Did he get umpired differently after this patch of time, though?
Yeah, and I've been there before, because I played for free kicks through a period, and then it stays with you, and the umpires get nervous around you because they don't know what to do and they don't want to be embarrassed. And he's probably getting that point. Him and Cody Waitman are at that point where they're not going to win too many because they feel like the umpires feel like they're being conned into it. But he's got the backing of his coach, Craig McRae, that is a tactic that they're comfortable with.
They seemed there, those latter two, I thought.
Yeah, I think
they should have been paid.
Yeah, should have been paid. He is looking for it, but he was wrapped around the neck.
You're open about your situation in that same space, Lordo. What was it you did to change your ways?
I felt like I was not staying in the contest for long enough by playing for free kicks, and it was taking away from my game. So that's where I think Cody's probably was doing what I did, in a sense where, as a forward, lunging. Ginnivan's is a tactical. Even if he doesn't get the freeze, locking the ball in, he's doing the right thing as a forward, locking the ball inside forward 50. So put more for Waitman, I'd be saying you're not being as effective as you could be because you're out of the contest too easy, and that's what I did. Yep. I changed it, didn't get any more frees, but I felt better for the way I was playing. Yeah.
What's Mitch Lewis worth on the open market, Lordo? Another good performance, 4 goals yesterday.
It's a great question. I think to Hawthorn, I can't believe he's not signed yet, because he's just one of the best young forwards in the game. He's just a beautiful kick, rarely misses. He's attacking the ball harder than I've ever seen him attack it. I think to another club, to prize him out of there, I'm talking high 6s to get him out of there, maybe 700 to try and get him out. I think Collingwood are desperate. The team they played for a forward, Essendon are desperate, and that's what it may take. Hawthorn may only want to pay him in the 5s. But so
you've seen enough to be convinced he's legit,
he's a real deal.
Key forward, and will be for some time.
Yes, I think you can build a forward line around him.
Maybe Melbourne could do with him, because that's their biggest problem amongst many problems at the moment. A second consecutive loss to Sydney on the weekend. Fremantle the previous week. The forward line's not functioning. Worries for Simon Goodwin.
Yeah, we're not executing as well as we'd like ahead of the ball. Some of the delivery certainly isn't the best at times there. So we've got to work on some connection forward to centre. We generated enough turnovers in the game tonight to hit the scoreboard better than what we did. There's no doubt about that. So we'll look at the mix of personnel, but also look at our method within that.
So that was an issue for Melbourne when they were getting a lot of it. They were the number 1 inside 50 team before they won their flag, but finished outside the top 8. So it was an issue there. And let's take a look at what they're doing. They're just banging the ball forward with no real method. So it's okay when you got maybe Tom McDonald flying and Brown in form and Wiedemann coming across, but they're not effective. Sydney were marking the footy like this, and there's nowhere for the pressure forwards to go because the ball's not coming to ground like it should. So that's just hacking the ball. Teams are aware of what Melbourne are doing now, and they've got to get to work with some improvement in that area. Because I think he feels like they're defending the ground okay still, But 56 and 61 points the last 2 weeks, that's not going to win you many games.
Depth wasn't an issue in the 17-match winning streak, which obviously started last year. But some of the lesser lights, Lordo, in the context of the great Melbourne operations, are not getting the job done. These are numbers from the past 2 weeks, the Fremantle loss and the Sydney loss.
Yeah, Brown hasn't kicked a goal for 3 weeks. Spargo and Pickett, they're off. Hunt is getting exposed. They're taking him deep with no Stephen May, so he's given up a lot of goals. Sparrow's been off a little bit, but I'd say Petrarca's been off as well in recent weeks. So Jake Lever had a poor game on the weekend, so I think it's right across the board. And a real good wake-up call at the mid-part of the season for Melbourne. Yeah.
A bit like the Dockers, the Swans are just finding a way at key moments. Logan McDonald had another really good game and an early start to his career. And then at the other end of his career is Sam Reid, Lordo, who filled in for Buddy Franklin, and not just filled in, performed as well as he probably would have.
Yeah, there's no doubt when Lance isn't there that players improve because he draws the ball so much. You want to get out of one of the greatest players of all time's way.
So what does that mean going forward as we look at what they did on the weekend?
Well, I honestly believe it's a tough situation Longmire is in at the end of this season to know what to do. And that's a big call because, are they, and this is, I can't believe I'm getting to this territory, but McDonald's the future. And I don't know if Reid and Franklin work well together. So I think it's one or the other. McDonald is number one, and it's whether Reid or Franklin plays. I don't think because they don't work that well together.
Right.
So,
what do they do then in the remaining 10 matches? Because it's a decision to be made there. I mean, I can't have it where Franklin's not the main man there, even next year as well. But you're the expert.
I don't think Franklin's playing as well as he was. He's still finishing with his 3 or 4, but I think he's not the player that he was, which is fine at this age. But I think that maybe Franklin plays, but he doesn't play every game, and they've just got to keep managing how they play. I think you need depth because we see with Melbourne, McDonald goes down, Brown's not going so well, and things can chop and change. But Franklin can't be to Sydney what he's always been because I think they play quite well when he's not there.
And there's a vibrancy to this outfit which is becoming infectious. There's a lot of energy, Lordo. And to seize this moment, look at the score, look at the time. This is a kid just starting his career, Errol Gordon, and nails that from downtown.
They have a nastiness about them, the Swans, and a belief in them. And the passion and the energy. This deflates you as an opposition team when guys like Papley are doing that. And McInerney has a nastiness about him. Callum Mills, Isaac Heaney, Nick Blakey. I love what they're doing.
And my man Chad Warner was down on the weekend, but still did enough things to suggest he's still tracking beautifully. Dogs and cats, back to Friday night. Jeremy Cameron turned the clock right back. I mean, he's had a good season, full stop, Lordo, but what he did early to set the tone in this game was pronounced.
Yeah, he was brilliant. He's the best forward in the game, I'd say, at the moment. But I just want to give Chris Scott a big pump up because he's very maligned. But the ball would go into the Dogs forward line. They had numbers everywhere. They didn't allow the Dogs to score, but then it goes back down the other end, and look how open the Geelong forward line is. So I thought he had a masterclass coaching performance on Friday night and deserves the credit.
As did in terms of masterclass, Reece Stanley. Now, Reece Stanley's best. We say it regularly on this show and other platforms that is as good as anyone's in the competition. It's just that his best is not regular, Lordo. But if he can somehow tap into this every week, they don't have a ruck problem.
No, big men do take longer, and it's been a decade for Reece. But to me, he looks extremely confident, the most confident we've seen him play. And I think we've always asked who is the number one man, but Reece truly belongs. And I was there on Friday night and he made a real statement.
Yeah. Much anticipation going into the game with Sam de Koning taking on Aaron Norton. Now, exclusive AFL.com.au vision down the ground, Lordo. Take us through how de Koning broke down Norton.
What's great to watch is you don't normally see a guy in his early, before he's even played his 20th game, putting in such complete performances. So he knows when to take the front position. He knows when to take the back position. I love this last one. For kids at home watching, watch how often he looks at the ball and his man. He never loses sight of his man or the ball. He does both so well. And that is just a masterful performance where then he can get back. So he's got good speed off the mark.
Reach.
He's got exceptional strength. He knows when to fly for his marks. He knows when to spoil. He knows how he's
exposed, isn't he?
Yeah,
I mean, and he's made the contest every time.
Just makes wonderful decisions all the time. And as I said, they can build their side around this guy for the next 10 years.
And looking at that, Norton didn't do a lot wrong.
No, but he just probably hasn't got enough tricks, Aaron. Aaron, when he can run and jump at the ball, he's magnificent, but he's getting worked over by players week in and week out.
You just talked about the Swans tours, Lord, and what they need to do. What do the Crows need to do? They got a good win against West Coast. It was expected, but they're Their young forward in Darcy Fogarty stood up, as Sam Reid did at the Swans. Their older forward in Tex Walker.
I want to ask you the question here. So Tex is 32 years of age. I reckon he's probably like Pendlebury, wanting a 2-year deal.
Yep.
Would you give it to him, or would you just say, no, there's one here, and if you want to explore your options, go for it?
I'd do the latter. Give him one if he wants to stay. He does want to, and that's understandable. There's something going on there with Mark Rasciuto on Triple M, with Chris Dittmar, just allowing a conversation to flourish out of nowhere about other clubs being interested in him. I'm keen to see how it plays out. But Matthew Nicks was adamant that he does stay, but I think it would be on a 1-year term.
Damo, the team they played, West Coast, I want to ask you also this question. Do you think Adam Simpson will be the man that they allow to rebuild this club, or is it time for a fresh start?
I don't think it's a lock, Lotto. Yeah. We know he's contracted not just for next year, but also 2024, and we know that Trevor Nisbet, the CEO, has been making statements of that type, as has Adam Simpson himself. But this club is in as big a mess as it's been in since it entered the AFL in 1987, and whether Adam Simpson is there for that part of this build now, which is now as serious a build as any club's had.
Yeah, spot on. Yeah, I'm not sure if he's the right man. Just whether it's a fresh start needed, Damo. Yep. The Gold Coast Suns, they're small forwards. We hear a lot about their midfield and Took Miller and these guys, but they're small forwards. Just the pressure that they're applying, the team pressure that they're applying. Rankin's had a much better period of form. And what about this play from Rosas? This pickup, and then being able to settle and kick the goal, that is outstanding. Jeffrey's doing great things for them. And then the pressure here, we just wanted to highlight the pressure of Ainsworth. So it's fantastic. He was getting dropped over the last few years, and you just see now Stewie Jew's got them playing really good, confident footy.
6-6 now after 12 rounds. Did what they had to do against North Melbourne and did it impressively, given the first quarter did not at all go their way. They responded. Well, we're going to go to the VFL this week for the Crypto.com Brave Play of the Week. Gold Coast Suns reserves player, effectively number 5 draft pick last year. Look at this chase down by Mac Andrew on Sam Fowler.
Amazing, and you need to bang down the wall now at Gold Coast Suns to try and get a game past some players. And I'm not sure he's ready for a game this year, but that will be highlighted in team meetings and say how good was that from Mac Andrew. And he's a player. He's a future player of the Gold Coast Suns for a long period of time at centre half back. Yep.
Well, thanks as always for your time on Access All Areas, and stick with AFL.com.au, the AFL Live app for all your footy news and opinion as we head into round 13 of the 2022 AFL season.